This video here goes through and gives a general setup of the AutoGlide XR, on particular a deer sprayer. On a deer sprayer, we always typically mount the interface box back here on the back of the center frame. In this interface box, all the sensors are feeding to it, along with it goes up to the valve block itself, which on this one is up there. But then also feeds to a master valve, which that master valve is a setting only basically on a deer sprayer because oil is not always going to the valve block. That wiring on a deer is up underneath, under the belly. But from that interface box, it's powered, but it also has a display or a wire going to the display, which comes up into the cab. And on that, on the interface box, it should be about a 10 amp fuse is what they suggest. On this interface box is a 3 or a 5 amp fuse. We have it wired into key power, so I just turn the key on. Gonna hit the power button to get it to come on up. So this case, it's a 3 sensor system. Picking up the 3 sensors there. Even if it's a 5 sensor system, you're not always going to see numbers there for those other 2 sensors. That's more in the background. If you hit enter, if you hit enter, it then kicks into auto. But if you hit escape, then it's going to get into all your different settings, your menus, and so on. So I'm going to toggle over to the right, go to config. And most all this is done for you in the setup when you get system installed by us. But the dead band here is basically what that is just say if you're trying to shoot for 30 inches, if you have 6-inch dead band, from 24 to 36 inches, it will not adjust if you're looking to run at that 30 inches. To adjust it, just toggle up or down. I'm going to toggle to the right, delay for up. Typically this setting for a self-propelled, we do have it running a little bit quicker than what it would on a pull type. This being a universal system, some of this also just depends upon how quick your hydraulics are. So this is one area you do end up tweaking. But in essence, that delay for up, what that's saying is it waits 1 second to ensure that dimension is a good dimension before that raises up. Typically, I would say probably closer to a self-propelled, closer to a half a second, maybe a little quicker, somewhere right in there. Delay for down, if you toggle over, 2 seconds is what it defaults into. I would lower that down to what they basically say about double the amount of time it takes to go up, or the seconds is what you want the down to be, is about double. So in essence, it is waiting 1 second to make that call to ensure that dimension is a real dimension, that it needs to go down. I say a real dimension, basically if it sees like a foxhole, for example, that mounded dirt, it's waiting that 1 second to ensure that it's safe to go down. Toggle over height. This height is if you're allowing the center frame to control it. Defaults to 40 inches. If you have it set as a center frame for reference, this target height makes no difference. It doesn't do any good, because when you set the center frame as a reference, it only if just say if you have your center frame set at 35 inches, then your breakaways will fall 35 as well. Toggle over quick raise height. Basically what that's saying is if it sees a dimension less than 15 inches, it's going to hold consistent 12 volts to that solenoid until it knows it's in the safe mode, safe area. 15 inches is pretty common. Sonar mode, that is strictly for bare ground, partial canopy, or full canopy. First pass, all pretty much going to be bare ground. Second pass, just say that corn is probably just say 9-12 inches tall, for example. You may start seeing yourself bounce to partial canopy at that point. Sonar sensitivity should be set to 100%. Nothing that applies for us here, the no range filter does not apply to anything. Up down buttons, basically that just means how the system reacts, or when you turn it on, shut it off, type of thing on as you're going through the field. I'll get to more of that in a bit. It's override, nothing there. Lower timeout. Some of this is just alarms. How quick it would throw an alarm if it was having an issue with something. Motion control. So this is how fast it actually goes up and down. Left up. We're going to set that down to 1, and what that means is at level 1 it is sending 12 volt consistently to that valve to get it up to the height that you want it to go. If you bounce up to 7, what that would do is it would send 12 volt pulses to kind of ratchet itself up per se. But on the going up, I would have it closer to 1. But down, I would leave it as 3, the default, because it can go down slower and it comes up. Same for the right side, we'll set that to 1. Right down, leave that default. Center frame up, I just always let, if you do end up letting the center frame have control, just let that be a default. Headland mode, nothing that pertains to us here. That's all set and good. So we're all the way through the main config. So I'm going to hit escape. Toggle the right. Just more alarm settings and so on. Everything should be set as standard and good enough. Okay, we're going to go into test. Rarely should you ever have to go in here, but for example, valve wiring, I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to act as if I'm trying to raise the left side up. So when I hold the left up, it says CU for center frame up. Sorry, I hit center frame, not the left tip, but the left tip is LU, for example. The master, I'll explain more than that in a bit. That's strictly for a deer. Yeah, there's just different settings in here for or different things to do for testing. Machine setup, hit enter, control type, left, right, center control. For this gentleman, I'm going to change that just to reference, so therefore you lower the center frame till you're at the dimension you want to run at, and then at that point your breakaways take control from that same dimension. Sonar sensors, we got 3. Okay, offset, left and right. Basically, I'm going to say that sensor is approximately 6 inches above the bottom of the boom. So I'm going to raise that up to 6. Did that for the left and right side. Now I'm going to center frame. I believe that's closer to that 2 inches. Okay, so on a deer sprayer, basically this, we don't have anything for directional valve, but I'm going to get over to master. This master basically is saying that the way it works on a deer sprayer, your boom valve block does not get consistent oil pressure. It only gets oil pressure when you activate a switch. So it has a master valve ahead of that. So I'm going to hit enter. And I'm activating the master for all outputs. Hit enter. And so at that point in time, the Greentronics AutoGlide will activate that other valve block while it's activating your main boom valve block at the same time. Nothing under PWM control. Self-cal, when you get a sprayer from us, the initial calibration is done, but it's not guaranteed to have the oil at full operating temperature. So you can go into self-cal, hit enter. Basically, you need to have your boom between 35 and 65 inches off the ground, I believe it is, before allow it to go into calibration mode. And really all it's doing here is just recognizing the responsiveness when it tries to lower, just how quick it lowers, and also when it raises, doing the same thing. And technically you really only have to calibrate one side and it will understand the same for the other, but there is still that possibility that the left side may be a little different than the right. So I just always end up doing the left-right calibration just to have both in there. I'm not going to do calibration at the moment. I'm going to escape out. And that is in the short of it on the setup, how that works.